Hi, good night, everyone. This is U.S. Immigration Attorney Sharifa Tharpe, and I am here live to take your U.S. immigration related questions. So if you are going through the process, you're thinking about going through the process, or even if you have been through the process already and you still have questions, now is the time to put your questions in the comments. I come on here every night to take your immigration questions, and while I'm here, your questions are my priority. So put your questions, feel very comfortable to do that, no matter how simple the question is. And also know that there is no such thing as a dumb question here. I'm here to answer any and all immigration related questions. While your questions come in, I am going to tell you more about me, who I am, what I do. So I'm U.S. Immigration Attorney Sharifa Tharpe, and I help clients to get their green cards and status in the United States. And that includes those who are out of status. If you look at my videos, you'll see it's very focused on people who are going through complex immigration issues, such as they're out of status, they cross the border without permission, and they want to figure out how they can gain legal status in the United States. And that's one of the things I do. I also help clients from outside of the United States to come. I help clients become, families reunite through the immigration process. I also help with investment type visas, if that is something that you're looking at. So no matter what your immigration issue is, no matter where you are in the world or in the United States, I am here to assist you. And we can start with a question here. Now, if you want to learn more about me, you can go to the link in my bio where you will be able to see the law firm, read up about the law firm. You can read my bio. You can also contact us. So there is a scheduling coordinator who is available from Monday to Friday up until 11 p.m. to take your calls, to help you out, and to put you on my schedule for a personal consultation should you need one. So go ahead, go to the link in my bio and learn more about me and get in touch with the firm. How long does it take to receive a 10-year green card after filing through marriage? So now, in order to get the 10-year green card, if you're filing through marriage, at the time that they approve the green card, so at the interview or a little after the interview, if you're married for less than 2 years, you'll get a 2-year conditional residence. However, it's like a 2-year green card. But if you are, at the time that you get the green card, you are married for over 2 years, then you will receive the 10-year green card. And right now, that filing process is taking about 18 months, so a year and a half, to 2 years. One thing I like to say is make sure that you submit a strong application from the beginning. A strong and complete application from the beginning to avoid problems later on during the application process. And sometimes when you do that, you can avoid a lot of issues, a lot of delays, and the process can be smoother and then faster. So keep those questions coming. This is a great question, and this is exactly why I'm here. I'm here to answer questions like this. So go ahead and put your questions in the comments right now so that I can answer your questions. You can also, if you don't want to ask your questions here, you want to schedule a personal consultation to get personalized legal advice, because this here is general information I'm giving. You can call 561-405-4889. A scheduling coordinator is available up until 11 p.m. tonight to take your information. So right now, though, you can put your questions in the comments and I will go ahead and answer. So while your questions are coming in, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the marriage-based process. What is the marriage-based green card process like? And I'm pretty sure that there are so many people that want to know this information, and so I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about applying for the green card while you're in the United States through the green card process, and also if you're outside of the United States, what does that process look like? So let's first start with when you're inside the United States. So now, one thing you have to know is when you're in the United States, and if you want to stay in the United States and apply for your green card, you're going to have to meet certain requirements. Not everyone qualifies to apply for what's called adjustment of status, which is the same as applying for the green card while you are in the United States. You have to be maintaining legal status already while you're in the United States. Or if you're out of status, then the only way that you can meet the exception and qualify to apply for the green card in the United States is if you have, if you're the immediate relative of a U.S. citizen. And when I say immediate relative of a U.S. citizen, I mean that you're the spouse of a U.S. citizen, you're the parent of a U.S. citizen who is 21 and up, or you are the son or daughter of a U.S. citizen and you are under 21 and unmarried. If you, in addition to that, another exception here is if you are being mistreated by a U.S. citizen or legal permanent resident spouse. If you're under 25, a parent. If you have a U.S. citizen son or daughter who's 21 and up and you're being mistreated by that adult child, then you can also qualify to stay in the United States and apply for the green card even if you overstay. So those are some ways that you can adjust status without leaving. Also, if you are the recipient, so if you received a T visa or a U visa, then you can also adjust status without leaving, even if initially, before you had the T or U visa, you were out of status. So those are some ways that even if you are out of status or you have a history of being out of status, you'll still be able to adjust status while you're in the United States. Now, what if you don't fall into any of those categories? What does that mean for you? So if you, what state is your office located? So Jackie Love, I'm in Boca Raton, Florida, but keep in mind that as an immigration attorney, I represent clients all over the country and all over the world. And so I am not limited by any borders, state lines. I can represent you if you have a U.S. immigration issue. As an attorney, we often have to work with the USCIS offices across the country, no matter where we are. And this happens with all immigration attorneys. And so that is why we're allowed to practice U.S. immigration law in other states and around the world. Hello, great information. One question. The mother of 2 kids that live in the U.S. and she wants, so that one isn't complete. So go ahead and complete that sentence, please. I think that's Julianne. And she wants to take me to the U.S. so our family can stay together. So let me see that. So the mother of my 2 kids that live in the U.S. So if you are married and she's a U.S. citizen or a green card holder, then you could qualify to come to the United States on an immigrant visa and become a permanent resident. But you have to either be, now if she is a U.S. citizen, she can either apply for you as her spouse or she can apply for you as her fiancé. If she's a green card holder or resident, she will need to get married to you and then file the green card for you guys to get together and become a family. Hey, what if you come on somebody else's visa for over 20 years and you don't have any documentation? So Shamali, that is going to be a complex matter. In a situation like that, when you come on somebody else's visa, there are additional immigration issues here that could complicate your case. And in this case, you would definitely need to get legal advice. Usually when you're applying for, say, the unlawful presence waiver while you're in the United States, and that's to forgive the overstay, if you have other issues, for example, like misrepresentation or fraud, which this would likely fall under, you wouldn't qualify to apply for the waiver while in the United States. So definitely, I urge you to get legal advice about your options and how to go about it, because it's going to be a little more complicated. But Shamali, it also depends on what else is going on in your case. The information I'm giving you is general. I don't know what your circumstances are, and you could have an exception where you can stay in the United States. But because this is so complex, I would have to evaluate in detail, really dig deep to figure out what's going on, and then I can properly advise you. You can call 561-405-4889 and schedule a consultation. And you want to look about citizenship, what can you do? So go ahead and make sure that you schedule a consultation. It's more complex. And I'm not saying that there's no solution, but we need to dig a little deeper into what's going on. So great questions. Keep your questions coming. I am, in the meantime, while your questions are coming in, I'm talking about the marriage-based process. Shamali, thanks for sharing the live. The marriage-based process. How do you go? How do you go about applying for the green card while you're in the United States? Can you marry on a visiting visa and it's not expired? So Dan, I think that's Nanny, you can get married anywhere you want to, even on a visitor's visa. But the issue here would be, where are you going to apply for the green card, and do you qualify? After you get married, where do you qualify to apply for the green card? So if usually what happens, if you're married to a US citizen and you come to the United States and end up getting married, and then your circumstances change and you end up staying in the United States, that could be a path to successfully adjust status in the United States. So you would be able to apply for the green card while being in the United States. However, if it did not, so for example, it did not expire and you want to get married in the United States and then go back and complete the process while you're in your home country, that is definitely an option as well. If your spouse is a US citizen, then you would probably have the option, even if you overstay the visa, to apply for adjustment of status. If your spouse is a permanent resident, not a citizen, just a green card holder, then you would not be able to apply for adjustment of status and have the green card the visa expire at the same time. So very, very important. One thing I stress is, before you make any moves, make sure you get legal advice, schedule a consultation. You will not regret that, because you won't apply for benefits that you don't qualify for. You won't end up overstaying your visa and then finding out that you don't qualify to stay in the United States. So schedule a consultation to make sure that you're protected. Make sure you know how to approach your situation. Make sure you know what you qualify for, and you're welcome. So keep those questions coming. This is exactly why I'm here, is to answer questions like these, anything that's immigration related. So go ahead and put your questions in the comments right now so that I may answer your US immigration related questions. I have been covering the topic of applying for the marriage-based green card while you're in the United States. And also I'm going to cover, if you're outside of the United States, what does that process look like? But one thing I like to stress is that only certain individuals qualify to apply for the green card while being in the United States. Not everyone who qualifies for the green card application through a family member can actually qualify to stay in the United States and apply for the green card. If I'm in the USA and my children in Jamaica and my husband is doing our I-130 forms, do I need to do more than one I-864 forms? So if your spouse is filing for each of you separately, then you likely will need an affidavit of support for each of them. So, but now keep in mind, this is general information. I don't know what the situation is with your spouse. I don't know their status. So get legal advice. And it's so important because a lot of cases get delayed and even denied because of this affidavit of support. They really want specific evidence, and it's important you're on point with it. Can you advise about investment visa, average investment required, and time application to be processed? So Ray Rampersad, if you're talking about the E2 visa, and that's if you are a citizen of an E2 country, for example, Trinidad. So Trinidad, Jamaica, Grenada, and some Central American countries like Costa Rica, Panama, Mexico, as well as some South American countries like Argentina and Bolivia. Now these countries, E2 countries, are all over the world, but I'm talking about some of the countries in our region. And what you'll have to do is show that you're a citizen of an E2 country, that your business, you own a majority of the business or at least 50% of the business as a citizen of an E2 country for that business to qualify. Then you have to show that you either work for an E2 country, or you own an E2 company, or you own that company and you want to expand or start your business in the United States, and that you will you have the substantial investment required to run a successful business in the United States. The amount of the investment is not, there's no set amount for this type of E2 visa. It really depends on the type of business and whether the money that you have invested or you are investing in the US leg of the business is substantial. So that's an important part. Now, when you talk about showing that you're currently investing or that you have invested, it's going to be things like the setup costs, leasing property, getting inventory, hiring staff. Those are examples of investments. So that in a nutshell is the E2 visa. You're welcome. Speak up now. Keep those questions coming. I'm here to answer your immigration questions. So put those questions in the comments. Why not take advantage of a U.S. immigration attorney being here right now to take your questions? Now, keep in mind that I am here every night. So it's not your last opportunity to ask questions. I am here every night. Ray Rampersad, you're welcome. So I'm here every night. And so if you would like in the future to ask your questions, or you just want to learn some interesting immigration information that could help you out, then you should go ahead and follow me. As soon as you see me go live, you can hop on and ask your immigration questions. So right now I have been talking about the marriage-based immigration process. I'm talking about who qualifies to apply for the green card while staying in the United States, even out of status, and who qualifies if you're outside of the United States. Now, keep in mind that not everyone who qualifies for a green card can actually stay in the United States and apply. It's going to be individuals who have maintained their status, their legal status, and will maintain their status for the duration of the process, or they're fallen out of status, but they're the immediate relatives of a U.S. citizen. That means they're the spouse of a U.S. citizen, they're the parent of a U.S. citizen who's 21 and up, or they are the son or daughter of a U.S. citizen who is under 21 and unmarried. Hi there, Dark Horse 45. It's nice to see you. Always a pleasure. Size thick. How long does a fiancé visa take? And does the person need to go back to the country they are? Yes, so you can't apply for the fiancé visa in the United States. They must be in their country to get the visa. And it's taking a little over a year right now. So I know the fiancé visa is supposed to be a quicker way to get your significant other here, but it is not working out that way, unfortunately. So keep your questions coming, because I'm here to answer questions like this. Now, I have been talking about who qualifies to apply for the green card while being in the United States. So I talked about immediate relatives of U.S. citizens. I talked about if you're here and you can maintain your status for the duration of the process. That means that no point will you fall out of status until you actually get the green card. Or there's also if you are applying for VAWA, so that means that you're applying based on mistreatment by a U.S. citizen or legal permanent resident spouse, by, if you're under 25, by a parent, or by a citizen son or daughter 21 and up. If you are being mistreated, that is also a way that you could stay in the United States, even if you cross the border without permission, even if you have overstayed your visa, you can stay in the United States and apply for the green card and get a work permit even during that process. Also, if you are a T visa recipient, a U visa recipient, or you have been granted asylum, you can also adjust status. If your time in the States is approaching 6 months and you are engaged to a citizen, can anything be done? So if you're engaged, that's not enough. If you're engaged to a citizen, that's not enough. You want to make sure that you, if you're not going to get married and apply for the green card, then you want to make sure that if you have a chance at getting the fiancé visa, that you are in your country and you comply with all your requirements, your immigration issues. So if I'm working for a family as a nanny or caregiver, can they sponsor me? It may be a possibility, just depends on their needs. And, you would likely have to go through what's called a labor certification process. So while it's a complex process, it is a possibility. But when it comes on to these types, employment-based green cards and visas, it's very important for you to get legal advice, because there are so many different visas available that you want to make sure that you qualify. At this moment, is the I-130 faster than the fiancé visa? So right now they are right at the same. So they're basically the same amount of time, unfortunately. Sometimes you'll get the I-130 approved before the fiancé visa. Sometimes you'll get the fiancé visa before the I-130. So Ari Solomon, I went ahead and answered your question. Jamaican. So, can anything be done to change your status apart from marriage? So Jamaican broker, I went ahead and answered, being a fiancé of a U.S. citizen is not going to be enough. You'll need to be their spouse to be able to adjust status in the United States. Great questions so far. Keep those questions coming, because I'm here to answer your questions. So put those questions in the comments. If your questions are not coming across to me, if you're trying to type them in and they're not coming across, you can also use that Q&A option on your screen. It's that comment box with the question mark in there. Try that. I found that some people who their questions get lost, they have success getting their questions to me through there. So keep that in mind. So I am talking about applying for the green card while you're in the United States. So now that we talked about who qualifies for this, then the next thing I want to talk about is, what does that process look like? What does the process look like applying for the green card while you're in the United States? So assuming you qualify for this, you have confirmed you qualified, you've gotten your legal advice, which is so important. Next step is to apply. So when you apply, the first thing is you're going to submit all the relevant forms. When you submit the relevant forms, if you are applying for adjustment of status, then you can apply for a work permit, you can apply for a travel document while you go through the adjustment of status process. When you submit the applications, then you will do a biometrics appointment. That's a fingerprinting appointment for the background check. And then you will likely get that work permit within 6 to 8 months generally. And then afterwards, you will get a notice for your interview. And at the interview, that's where the officer is going to ask you questions about the relationship that you have. So it depends on the type of family relationship you have. Okay. If the person is in Dominican Republic, can a Haitian citizen use Dominican because of the craziness in Haiti? If you are in Dominican Republic, I would not be able to speak to that. You still would have to apply as a Haitian citizen. I'm not sure. Please clarify your question. So I am talking about applying for the green card while you're in the United States. So I talked about the process and right up to that final interview. Now, let's go on to if you're outside of the United States, how do you apply for the green card through a spouse? So my husband filed I-130. It's now almost 8 months and we only receive receipt, not notice. Is that normal? Yes. So Manat 24. Yes, unfortunately, that is normal right now. As actually, you're lucky you got the receipt notice. Because I have seen some cases where they hadn't even received the receipt notice because of the backlog. But it is taking over a year right now for I-130s to be approved. So hang tight and just check up on your case to make sure that everything is good on your end and they are not requiring anything from you. Like they haven't sent a request for evidence or something of that sort. Do I need to apply for a work permit before I come to the U.S.? So Ari Solomon, absolutely. If you're working for a family in the United States, you are working, you have to be authorized to work in the United States. And so that means you would have to be qualified for some sort of employment type visa or even a work permit. But keep in mind, work permits are usually issued from if you're in the United States and you qualify for some other underlying benefit. So Ari Solomon, I can't stress enough, get legal advice before you make any moves so that you don't get into trouble during the immigration process. When applying for the I-130 or fiancé visa using other embassy. Also size 6, okay, I understand now. So yes, on the application, you can put which embassy you would like to go. So there is a place on the I-130 where you can show the consulate that you want to do your interview at, and they will send. So at the point that the I-130 gets approved, they will send it to the consulate that you indicate, where you indicate that you want it to go. Can siblings apply for each other? Absolutely. Range Schultz, U.S. siblings, as long as they're a U.S. citizen sibling. But keep in mind that it is a very long process and it's not a quick, easy solution if your sibling is already in the United States and is undocumented. It's taking a minimum of 14 years if you're in the Caribbean. If you're in Mexico, for example, it could be taking over 2 decades, which is just impossibly long. So you want to, if you're invested, if it's the only way you're going to qualify through a sibling, then why not choose that process? But if you can find other options that are quicker, then you should probably pursue that as well. That's where legal advice is very important. So what you can do is if any of this sounds familiar, you want to schedule your own personal legal consultation to confirm you qualify, to get assistance to get through the process, to have a smoother process, go ahead and schedule a consultation. You can go to the link in my bio. My phone number is also plastered all over my videos, so you can call. There's a scheduling coordinator who is available right now to take your information. So keep that in mind and put you on my schedule. Now, let's talk about applying for the green card if you are married to a U.S. citizen or you qualify through other family members, because now anybody who qualifies for a green card through a family member they will end up going to that embassy. So let's talk about everyone, not just the marriage-based. Now, the marriage-based is the quickest right now. If you are applying through your U.S. citizen or green card holder spouse, it is the quickest process. If you're under 21, you're unmarried, and you're applying through your U.S. citizen parent or your green card holder parent, That's the quickest process right now. Everyone else, it takes a couple years, but eventually you'll go through the same process. So the process is your sibling is going to file what's called the I-130. We've seen this repeatedly throughout this chat live, the I-130 in people's comments and questions. So that's the first petition that the relative will file. And then usually it's based on the relationship. So if they look to make sure that this is a real relationship, whether it's a parent relationship, a marital relationship, they look for the evidence to show that it's genuine, that that qualifying relationship really exists. And then after they review the application and it's approved, which is taking over a year, I like to say the average time is 9 months to a little over a year. So prepare for that timeline to get an approved I-130. But at the point that it is approved, it will go on to the National Visa Center. Now, if you have, you don't have to wait for an immigrant visa number, or your immigrant visa, they're handing out immigrant visa numbers right now, then the National Visa Center will get in touch with you right away and start to, first of all, send you an invoice, and then once you pay the invoice, the application, a special immigrant visa application is going to open up for your, for you and your relative to look through and complete. And then there's going to be the affidavit of support that you have to complete. Now remember, the affidavit of support is based on the income of the relative to make sure that your relative in the U.S. meets the income requirements to support you as an immigrant. So when applying for the I-130 or fiancé visa using other embassies, so I answered that. How long does it take to get the citizenship test after applying? So I've seen an average of 6 months, but keep in mind it depends on the processing times at the different service centers in your area. Because they might be backlogged, and so they may have months and months of interviews scheduled, and so you may not get in for a longer time than 6 months. In some cases, I've seen it as short as 4 months. It be scheduled in 4 months. So prepare for an average of 6 months, but it could be more. So when it gets sent to the National Visa Center, you've applied for the green card and you have now it's ready to be processed by the National Visa Center. They get in touch with you and you complete additional forms. You submit the additional evidence to them that they're requesting. And when they have received everything, that is when they go ahead and send it to the embassy, and then at the same time they schedule your interview. Then at the point that you're going to get an interview letter with instructions on what to do next. So you usually have your medical to deal with and your police certificate to take with you to the interview. Then at the point that you gather that and you go to the interview, that's where the officer will finally interview you and confirm that you qualify and issue you an immigrant visa number. They'll take your passport to process the visa, to put that visa in your passport. And then about 2 to 3 weeks later, you will get everything usually by courier. You'll get everything to take with you to go to the United States, to travel to the United States. Now that immigrant visa in your passport, you're usually given a certain amount of time to travel on it. So you should not make that expire, because that's basically saying you have this amount of time to leave your country and go to the United States to get your green card. And that in a nutshell is the green card process if you're outside of the United States. So I basically covered, the family-based immigration process right here. And I really hope this was helpful to you. I don't see any more questions coming in. I hope I gave you some information that could be useful. And keep in mind that this is general information. So if you really want to get into the nitty-gritty of your case, schedule a consultation with me and let us talk about your particular situation. Avoid mistakes, make sure you qualify, and see if you can get assistance to make this a smoother process for you. And I always say a smoother process equals a faster process, because if it's not smooth, that means there are delays. Hi there, Charming Rose. It's nice to see you. And thank you, Community Solutionate, for that. Thank you very much. And you have a good night as well. And you are welcome as well, Shaka Dexter. So I am here every day. So at the minimum, follow me and you can get updates. You can get useful information in my videos, and you can come on here and ask me straight up your questions, and I will go ahead and answer. If you want to learn more about me, if you want to schedule a consultation, my phone lines are open 24/7. However, there are scheduling coordinators who are open and ready up until 11 p.m. Monday to Friday. And I will start having a scheduling coordinator work on the weekends from noon to 5. And Shaka Dexter, I cannot wait to speak with you. Thank you for letting me know, and just go ahead, keep following me, visit my website, and then call when you're ready to schedule the consultation. Have a good night, everyone, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.